say I want the tax so that I can keep having this bus service. And so that's a blatant in favor of this proposed tax. Here's another release just before the day, a day before the Quorum Court meeting, February 8th. Mr. Pumphrey writes, I have an opinion on providing public transportation to the Quorum Court. And this is where he finally says that they are not supposed to, the bus drivers are not supposed to give any opinion at all. You know, they can transport them, but they can't give an opinion. The damage has already been, the damage has already been done, folks, through all of this other previous advertising campaign. After the Quorum Court meeting, it's rather interesting here. This is where the advocates come in. When we had our private meeting with Mr. Pumphrey, somewhere in early February before the Quorum Court meeting, 4 of us had a private meeting with Mr. Pumphrey and one of his associates. And in that meeting we asked him about who provided the funding for the billboard that was used in the electronic billboard. And he said the advocates. We had never heard of the advocates. We didn't know what that was. What it turns out is this was the Advocates for Public Transit. The Advocates for Public Transit is a pretty good sized organization that brings a bunch of special interest people together. Arkansas Interfaith Power and Light, I'm not going to tell you all of them, just to highlight. Omni Center's Climate Change Task Force, United Way, Occupy Fayetteville, Green Drinks, the Fayetteville Senior Center, the Sierra Club, the Washington County League of Women Voters. There's a very professional looking color brochure produced by the Advocates for Public Transportation. This is just a black and white printout, but this is actually in multicolor and very well done. Looks like a pro did it for sure. The back side of the brochure is shown here. And on the front of this it says, vote for our future. Without your vote, public transit goes away. This is false. This is purely for expansion, not to reduce or eliminate. And all the advocates are listed here, and it says we support the quarter-cent tax. Now, who's orchestrating these advocates? Well, here I have some emails from Mr. Pumphrey himself communicating with the advocates. He is actually part of the advocates. He's one of the advocates. He's talking about making plans to start up. This is one day after the Quorum Court meeting. This is, February 10th. Anyways, very close to right after the Quorum Court meeting. He says we're going to get the website going for the advocates. And he says here, let's see here, let me know what I can do to help. He says that sounds good, I'll reorganize it. So he's actually manipulating things on the website himself, Mr. Pumphrey is, for the advocates. And then he says here, that sounds great. And then in this one here, he says about the website, when a gal from the University of Arkansas asks him, just tried to visit the website, transit.org, and it said this site is password protected. Help! And Phil replies, we will turn it live here in the next 30 minutes. So Mr. Pumphrey is actually like he's holding the key to turning on the website for the Advocates for Public Transit. And this is during business hours that he's doing this. This is on Friday that he says this. During business hours, he's advocating for public transportation. So to recap, we have the brochures. All of these brochures were produced by Ozark Regional Transit. We have the passenger notice that says they're going to lose their ride, dated January 12th for the first Quorum Court meeting. We have the selective messaging that it tells the drivers one thing and the passengers another about what the purpose of this is for. Then we have the one for the second Quorum Court meeting, and it says this is your last and best chance to advocate for transit system and And we know that's false. The special maps that were made, produced all by Ozark Regional Transit, and this flyer passed out by the college, produced by Ozark Regional Transit. We have all the emails and to prove all this. And we have the petition as well that was passed out on the bus for passengers to sign. And I guess that brings me about to the end here. Let's see. One thing I'd like to say is if expanding bus service were a good idea, there would be no need for deceit. We're taxed enough already. Contact your JP. Encourage them to throw out this proposal for a ballot measure. It's clearly pushed with untruths spread around about this ballot measure. Let's get this great nation back on its feet. Thank you.